Okay, well, I decided to create this video because I wanted to figure out what's going on with my current projects. Because the situation is weird and I feel stuck. Like, for some reason, I realized that I don't love my writing anymore. My ongoing project does not inspire me anymore, and I can't understand why. I'm sure you know this feeling, like when you struggle to write every sentence, and even if you can write, and even if it looks well, you just don't feel satisfied with all your work. I know that sometimes writing can be hard, really, and sometimes, or most of the times, you have to nudge your inspiration to dive into the flow of concentrated writing. But this time it was something different. It felt different, and I decided to do a serious investigation to understand what is going on. I decided to study, to read some books on theory. You know, it often inspires when you just read something about writing. Your brain automatically catches this creative wave and goes on, and you can start writing right away. But I thought that I'm stuck because there is something that I don't know yet, some piece of theory or a tip that I miss, or maybe I just forgot about it. So I have to get some theory books, read them, and maybe then I will know better. I went to the main building of Toronto Public Library, which is a fantastic place, and searched for books. And I felt like I wanted all of them. Maybe I just love reading about writing, so I got a stack of books and started to read. Sometimes I tried to do exercises from these books, but in general it didn't feel useful. I still didn't love my project, whatever I did with it, and even my own golden rule, write it till you love it, didn't work. I was depressed, I felt confused, and I felt even more confused when all these books turned out to be useless. And I just desperately needed something else. And then I started to ask myself the simplest questions, like, do you want to write the next episode in this short story? And the answer was no. Then I asked myself, okay, maybe you want to write the next short story, and the answer again was no. And I asked myself then, okay, do you want to write something at all? Like, do you want to be in this activity just to write something? And the answer was, yes, sure, I do. And then I realized that the problem was in my project, not in my approach, and not in that I had not enough knowledge. So the reason was emotional. Yeah, and probably now I have to explain in a few words what are the projects that I'm working on right now. I have 3 of them. The first one is a novel. It's finished a year and a half ago, and now I'm polishing it, trying to cooperate with beta readers and maybe prepare it for the future publishing. It's a story about a schoolboy who falls in love with the college professor from a big city, but it's 1950s and naturally he can't just live with it, so he sublimates it, like all these feelings, in such a way that they become a form of religious worship. The second project is something that used to be a set of short stories, but then I decided to make them a novel. It's about contemporary Toronto, where I live, and the main characters are 3 sisters who try to survive and encounter different kinds of magic and pseudo-magic and paranormal stuff. And The third project is my big and scary novel about twins. I call it big and scary because it's the most challenging work I've ever had. I mean, the conflict is very complicated and the narration is very different from my normal narration because the main character is very different from me. And I wondered, like, can I do this? Am I strong enough as a writer? Can I make it right? Can I express all the emotions in the right way? Like, as I said, it's about twins and it's a novel about contemporary Canada and these twins who fall in love with the same girl. And there should be something more sinister, although I don't really like this word, it may sound pointless for atheists. I have already outlined almost all of this novel. I had my plot, I had my timeline, but I stopped myself from working on this novel because, well, it's big and scary. I felt like I'm not prepared enough. I have to start with something more easy and comfortable, which was my stories about three sisters. I have created a plan till the end of the year, and I wanted to write 5 more stories about these girls to gain some muscles, and only then dive into the big and scary novel. But the matter was that I don't love the story about these girls. I started to work on it partly because I wanted to practice, and now I see that it may be really interesting for other people. Like, there was a story about Insta Witch and a story about healing crystals and a story about the girl's reflection in a mirror that started to speak to her. So in general, I wrote about things from my everyday life that were interesting for me, but I didn't love this project. It didn't feel like it's vital for me to work on it, to live it through. And this single fact killed all my motivation somehow. And now I know that this factor of love is crucial, because when I worked on my first project about 50s, sometimes it was extremely hard, but I kept going on because I felt that inner reason why it matters for me, why I have to finish it. It was like my child that I love, so I wanted to take care of it, despite sometimes it could do something bad, you know. And this second project about girls was, well, it's like unplanned and unwanted child. The point is that I don't have those responsibilities for my texts as I would have for my children. So I have the right to quit. If I don't want to continue, I can stop. I can return to this project later or never at all, it doesn't matter. I have the right to raise only those children that I truly love, and that's my great freedom as a writer. So, in the end, I switched to the big and scary novel, put myself together and started to work on it. And despite it's not easy, because I still have those psychological stuff like maybe it's too complicated or maybe I should write something smaller first and everything, but it feels different because I love it. This text connects me with my deepest values and sparks passion in me, and that's why it matters. It matters for me, so I will continue writing it despite it is big and scary. So keep your love over your fears, that's all I can say. Yeah, and maybe I will talk about this novel and my struggles with it in the next video. Thank you for joining me today. See you.